what would you say is the importance in your actual environment as a creative and just as a human being, really?
I think the environment needs to be it needs to be a very positive and vibrant environment, I think. I think it's got to be a love-driven environment as well. There's a lot of love like around the environments that I'm in, the people that I have in my environments and stuff. I think that is extremely important. Respect needs to be, it's a very respectful environment. I think from there's respect and from there's love, and when I say love, I mean like a friendship love, or a love for what you're actually doing. I think everything else kind of falls into place, to be honest, which is what I think's happened with the awards. The respect is there, the love is there, and everything else is just kind of just naturally falling into place.
How did you come up with the different categories for the Creative Industry Awards when you were coming up with it?
I came up with the categories through speaking to some of my friends in the industry. So I had a list of categories, and it was like, I really don't know what to do or where to start. Because initially when I thought about them, it was, do I just focus on like TV and film? Do I just focus on fashion? I don't really want to do music, but then music artists, it's quite a big thing. And because I know so many people in the industry, it was a case of, I need to kind of include everybody. But as you know, the creative industry is huge. So it was a case of, how are we going to, have categories that cover most of the industry, but then also get us the most number of nominations, if that makes sense. So I just decided to go with like the easiest thing, like, best model, best actor, and just kind of see how it went, basically. And then over time, it's looking back at the data to see which ones do extremely well compared to which ones don't do that great. And we're still figuring it out, to be honest. We add different categories and take some out every year. So
no, everything's data, really. Like everything's data, because you're just using past decisions and results to like inform your next choice or the next thing you're doing. So I think taking that approach to it, where like you're actively like adapting the categories each year depending on how it performed last year, is that's a really good thing to do. How did you decide like how many actually, I had a question actually. How is your outreach process for who you nominate in the awards to? So like, do you ask people like, will you accept this nomination, or how do you go about it?
It's a variety. In the first year, it was a lot of, will you accept this nomination, just because it was new. Now, this year, it was a lot of people just got nominated. But then we delve into the portfolios of the people, or their CVs or whatever it is, just to ensure you actually qualify to be in that category. But it varies. I mean, I am always on the lookout. So if I see a certain, like an artist or makeup artist or an actor, I might add them to my nominations 2025. I'm not saying that they'll be nominated, because we might not even have that category, but if people catch my eye, I'm always scouting. I used to be a model scout as well. So I've naturally got that scouting eye in me. Even there's that new DJ that's playing, he plays out in Brixton and stuff. I tagged my talent manager the other day, and she's like, right, noted, potentially for a performer, so we're always on the lookout for performers and people to nominate.
That's good, man. I think that's exciting for artists as well, and actual creatives, to know if they make their work visible, and it gives people more fire and more drive to actually like put work out and like, trust their work and what they're actually giving to the world. If you're a performer or if you're a creative, how do you go about getting noticed by someone like yourself for the Creative Awards?
I mean, what we do, we hold open auditions, actually. So the first year, it was a case of, we're just gonna, book certain people to perform. But then I said, like, to the team, to my talent manager, I said, why don't we do open auditions? One, it helps us with marketing, gives us a good reach. But two, it helps us to discover people that we probably would never have discovered. So we do that. People send us DMs as well. They tag us in things, whether it's the awards page or my personal. People have started to invite us to gigs and stuff now as well. If you're free, come and watch us perform, or come and watch me, dance, or whatever it is that they do. So there's various different ways.
That's exciting, man. That's exciting for the artist to like.
Oh yeah.
for the auditions and stuff as well. But like when you get the confirmation that you've been chosen, that's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, and it's important because we try to have at least 2 performers that are underrepresented or unsigned or up and coming completely. So we had Chubbs perform this year.
Yeah.
First time he ever performed. So our talent manager, Shelley, she worked so hard with Chubbs, and it was an outstanding performance to the point where he's going to start working with, I think, a couple of other people that were there. So that's really, really inspiring for us as well, to really sit back and to see the growth of certain people. When he sent us, we wanted some pictures so we could post them on our Instagram, and we was like, these aren't professional, you need to go and get some really good professional pictures because we want to really promote you and it needs to kind of go in line with our brand. And the pictures that he sent after were fantastic, so now he's got a portfolio of, a couple of pictures and headshots. He's got his logo, he's got the show reel now from the event and stuff. So yeah, it's great. And I just, it's great to sit back and watch. Lo, who performed as well, she got her first radio play on BBC One Extra from it because Theo obviously hosted. That was the Saturday, and the Sunday, her music was played on BBC One Extra. So
I see, man. It's incredible. It's incredible. I've worked with Lo myself. She was at my first event I did doing a performance, and just brilliant. like her personality and her presence and her talent. It's really vibrant. It's there, man.
And one thing with Lo, I was actually going to DM her to say, can you attend the audition? And I didn't. So when she turned up, I was like, oh my gosh. I was excited, that she was here. I thought, there's so much, she's up and coming, she's going to go far, for sure. So it was really nice to have her turn up on the day. And yeah, she did really well.
So obviously Shadow on the Beat, he won his Producer of the Year award. How did you feel seeing someone who's put in work for so many years finally get that recognition?
It was amazing. To see his name crop up on, the list of people that were nominated, and then to see him win, because basically we have public voting. So people are nominated, but it's not a case of, okay, you're the winner. So to then see him win, because he was really promoting, really pushing hard. He was out in Jamaica, tagging us, tagging me. And he just really deserved it. He's really put the work in for years. And he said on his Instagram, I don't know how long he's been beat making for. It's been a ridiculously long amount of time. And for him to say, finally got recognition, it was like, this is crazy. You know, like if it wasn't for you, there's certain artists we wouldn't know about. I remember hearing his name, you always got a Shadow on the Beat at the beginning. And even for me, like a lot of these, creatives don't realise, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've watched you grow, develop, and to think that you're actually here, at like my team's event, it's inspiring and humbling for me, as much as I know it is for them.
Okay. No, definitely. I can definitely see that. I saw, his reaction was crazy, man. Like I was getting excited from when I was watching it back the next day on my thing, man.
Yeah. And do you know what? I think he was probably everybody's favourite. I mean, just at the whole event, because Shadow is on the most amount of pictures. Every red carpet picture, every other picture, he's there. He was just loved. Yeah, the love that he's got, and it's great that he's from the city. And that he was recognised and he's been given the love here, and see the amount of love that he's got. And I think for Birmingham, that's extremely important, because obviously London's, the place that people go to, me and myself included. I kind of built my career up in my connections in London. So to see the love in the room from local creatives as well as creatives from outside of the city, I think that's beautiful as well, because I think what it's done for people locally is given them that little bit of, actually, we are just as good, and we don't particularly have to go to London. There's a lot of collaborating happening in the city now that I've started to see. And just to see everybody dressed up in their, red carpet, like proper suited and booted, and like, am I in London? Are these trousers okay? I was like, yeah, them trousers are really nice. And I get that a lot, I get people like that I don't know will DM even myself or the page and say, are these shoes suitable, or what? And I'm like, this is great, because it kind of shows the effort people really want to put in. And so
I actually DM'd her the outfit that I had in mind. I said, like, is it okay?
Screenshot of the trousers, but they were nice. They were really.
I've got them on board now.
There you go. Yeah. So I had somebody message me from, I think February. He'd already had his suit tailored, you know, for the event. So it's great. It's a great thing that it's doing for the city.
So how would you, I guess Birmingham having something like this is going to be something that really moves people in the city. How do you feel about Birmingham in general, you know, getting something to have something like this?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's definitely something that was needed. There was a huge gap in the market. We've still got a long way to go. The first year when we launched the awards, it was only probably 5% of artists and creators from Birmingham attended. I guess we didn't really promote it, if I'm honest. So it was just a lot of my contacts and, like, you know, my friends and my team's contacts that knew and purchased tickets and attended. But I think now people are like, oh my gosh, you know, it's actually in Birmingham, having people like Shadow and other people there, it's given us a greater reach in the city. So it's something that's really needed, something that's really welcomed. And we've got a couple of other ideas that we're looking to launch as well soon.
Like, any spoilers?
We've got a network, so the Creative Industry Network we're launching, which is like a membership network for creatives to collab, network online, network in person. We're going to be putting on a lot of events and stuff in the city for creatives to attend, not just from the city but from outside, because there isn't really an infrastructure here. I don't think, you know, there's a lot of creatives here, but where do you go? London, you've got Soho House. I love Soho House. You know, you can go and you know that you're going to see some top tier people in there, make some really good connections in there, probably secure some business deals there, but there's nowhere here that I'm aware of, if I'm honest, which is why I've always gone out of town. And it's not right. You know, a lot of top artists came from here. Mist, Lady Leisha, Million. We had Lotto Boys, you know, Jamelia.
Kezia Soul as well.
Yeah, we've got La Familia. You know, a lot of artists from here that some people don't even realise was originally from the city. I think Steph London was born here.
Yeah,
you know,
he was.
Yeah, so yeah.
It's kind of crazy because for me it was actually the opposite experience. So I actually live in like a smaller town. So I live in an area called Gornal, which is next to Cosley.
I know Cosley.
Yeah, it's like next to Cosley, literally right next to Cosley. But like there, it's literally just like nature estates, like that's it. Like there's nothing else there. So when I came, I was doing all my industry work remote or just like a head office somewhere. But like for me, like the start of this year was the first time I actually really came into the city and like started my things. So what you were saying, like, you know, it's good to go to London and these different places. Like for me, Birmingham was like the place where I met all the amazing people that I'm currently working with now.
That's really good. But I think that's because you're out of town, because if you speak to a lot of people in town, you know, a lot of people do go out. And I think it's because there's not a lot of collaboration, but I just think it's because I mean, there are places, but I don't think specifically for it. So it's like, well, where do I go? I think that's the issue. It's not that people don't want to collab and work together here. It's just, well, how do I get into the room with these people? How do I connect with, you know, a particular person? Which is why I think the awards did so good, because what I found interesting was we have the networking, as you remember, for the first hour. Then we have the awards and stuff. And you know, when it finished at the end, normally we have a lot of dancing and stuff in the main room, but everybody literally ran back out to network in that. I was like, wow, like this just shows how much the networking's needed. You know, the relationship building and the connecting.
Yeah, no, 100%. I really felt that when I was there and afterwards as well. How would you say is what tip would you give to creatives to overcome fear, to actually like want to collaborate like mentally?
Do you know what? Don't think about it and just do it at the end of the day. I think you know your craft, you know your abilities, you know what you can offer. So don't think too much into it, because you'll be surprised at who is actually up for collaborating and connecting. Even if it is a creative or a business that's like really well established, there are a lot of people that do want to help and support, you know, because we've all been there, you know. So I'd say just go and for it and don't think twice. And somebody might say no, but move on to the next. And sometimes a no is your own protection as well. You know, not everybody's supposed to say yes, and it's not every collaboration, as I said earlier, is supposed to take on. So just because you get a no, it doesn't mean, you know, a no can be converted into a yes. Might not just be with that particular person. There's
a lot of power in that, man, to like be okay with someone saying no to you, or you saying no to someone, because it's like you're showing yourself the respect of that, and that's just going to feed more into your subconscious as you move through I think that's why like experience in this is so important. How important were having actual experiences for you, like going through industry as you progress?
How important was it?
Like experiences, like having like experiences.
Oh, definitely important, because I think especially in my early days, I made so many mistakes, you know, and I used to say yes to everything, and I used to stretch myself thin. And I remember one weekend I did 4 shoots. I think, yeah, it was Leicester, Birmingham, London, Leicester, 24 hours, absolutely crazy, just because I didn't want to say no. So I just think like the experiences that I've learned, it's really kind of shaped and molded me. I'm glad that I had a lot of those experiences really early on, you know. For example, like I said earlier, I did a photo shoot with a photographer and he ran off with my pictures, and, you know, there's just so many different things. Or, you know, someone will say we're going to pay and you don't get paid, and, you know, ensuring you've got a contract in place and things like that now. So yeah, I think every experience I've been through, good or bad, I'm really grateful for, because it's really shaped me. And it's also helped me now to like kind of share my experiences and guide and mentor and coach like the up and coming creatives as well.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, what sort of like, talking about the business aspect of it, obviously like not getting paid, or, you know, people don't send you things, or it takes too long to send you things. What advice would you give to creatives in a business aspect, in like how do they build the knowledge for themselves, or, you know, build this?
I think you need to learn the business. I think a lot of people forget that it is a business. Do you know, they think, oh, actor, model, whatever, but it is a business. So you need to understand the rules, the laws, even things like a TV extra. You know, there's certain minimum, I know you've got your minimum wage in like a normal corporate role. It's completely different for like a TV extra, for example. You need to understand if someone's going to pay you, you know, £50 for something, is that actually what the market value is? It's, you know, certain terminology in contracts. What does that mean? Do you know, like, for example, a lot of people don't realise that if a photographer takes your pictures, they own the copyright. I've seen, even for the awards, people kicking off, she took my pictures or he took my pictures, where are they? I'm like, well, you didn't pay for them. And even if you did, they still own the copyright. So it's understanding the business and how you do that. I mean, you know, Google's your best friend now, in my opinion. Anything you need to know, you can kind of Google it. You've got AI now. You've got podcasts like this. There's networking, there's just reaching out. After the awards, I had somebody contact me to say, look, I want to put an event on, but I don't really understand. Do I need insurance? Do I need this? Ask the question. There's always somebody that's going to help.
No, it's true,
yeah. And then research, just because they tell you doesn't mean take it for gospel, but at least you've got some kind of foundation to go off.
Yeah, I think it's just like actually like just doing it, just like throw yourself in the deep end. And that's where you're going to learn everything you need to know.
I laugh because that's what I did with the awards, because I didn't know what I was doing. It was like, I'm going to do an award show and I'm going to do an awards. What do I do? Like, how do I start? How do people vote? You know, how do I select the judges? How do we, like, you know, look at each individual and how do we score them? And I was like, I ain't got a clue, but we're going to learn as we go along. And, you know, one of my judges, for example, he's an Emmy Award judge in America. So I asked the question, you know, what do you do for the Emmy Awards? How is that structured? You know, and yeah, you learn.
Yeah, definitely. I think for the viewer, like just finding the right information and being like, just putting yourself, just do it. Like just message people, just like watch YouTube videos, and do it. Don't like the more you stagnate, like actually taking the action, the more fear you're going to create in your mind, and the more it's just going to like increase the gap between.
You procrastinate, don't you? And it doesn't happen. You know, even like with the categories and things, if I hadn't just thrown it out there, I was like, gosh, I'm just going to do it. Oh my God, are people going to be interested? You know, if not, I'll take that category out. But until you do it, you're not going to know.
What's a way that you really like, how would you say you built like real self-belief in yourself?
Do you know what? If I'm honest, it was from feedback from others, to be honest, you know. But with this, the awards itself, it was, like you say, it was doing it. And it was actually, I'm going to put my neck out there and I'm going to be very vulnerable and open, and I'm going to put this idea out and just kind of see how it goes. And I think it was literally just sitting back and reflecting on myself and like really seeing what I was capable of doing. I mean, I had a really, really good friend, for example, say, I want to, you know, it's a great idea, I want to invest. I said, absolutely not. I have to do this myself, you know, to kind of see if I'm really capable of doing it. You know, people always say, oh, you're great, you're brilliant, you're fantastic, you're this, you're that. I'm like, well, am I really? Let me see if me on my own can do this, with the help, obviously, of like people. But so yeah, I think that's kind of how I did that. Yeah, and I still kind of look back and I'm like, wow, I actually still can't believe that. It doesn't seem real still to me, I think. I don't think I've realised like what we've actually created still. I
definitely have had that myself, where it's like I'm doing that much with like what I'm doing. Like I do celebrate things, and I do, but like I don't feel like I fully embrace the actual emotions as it's happening. It's like I could just be having like a conversation with like a close friend, or just like randomly look through like videos of like my work or like different things, and I'll just be like, jeez man, like, and I'll just like feel like wow, and like I just feel that like inside, and that's like, but yeah, I think making sure you embrace the emotions it's happening, like
it's important.
You only really get to live that once.
Yeah, I don't think I've done that yet with the awards, I'll be honest. I think because I'm just constantly, okay, now what next, which is why I say I take a lot of holidays and stuff, because if not, I'm just constantly like, what next? Okay, it's all right, but I could do better, and I could do more, and it needs to be bigger, and you know, I need to get bigger celebs in the room and things like that. You know, so it's important to celebrate even the smallest win, for sure, which I don't think a lot of us are good at doing.
I feel like if you're someone who's just very like, you know, you understand the power of compounding habits. What's the next habit that's going to lead to this? What's the next habit that's going to lead to this? Like, you do just, but that's beautiful at the same time. That you've had, like, you're that focused on like writing your own process and your own journey. Like, you actually forget like different things until it's there.
Yeah, true. And like I said, like I was saying before, we started filming, that I've never actually really sat back and watched the whole event, because I'm always behind the scenes and running around. I don't think I've had time to process it, if that makes sense, because I'm just running around in my flip-flops and my PJs, my curlers, and I've never actually sat down and like watched like a full award show, and I don't know if that will ever happen. You know, my team are like, Mon, you're gonna have to sit down and really, you know, watch and embrace what you've done. But I'm like, no.
That's what's beautiful about when you're just focusing on what you're doing, is like, it's like celebrating isn't the focus.
It's not about me. Like I said, like the awards is nothing to do with me. If it was, it wouldn't be a thing, to be honest. It's about celebrating, uplifting, embracing everybody else in the room, and just ensuring that everybody else has a great time and makes the connections, and just makes their journey easier than what I had in the industry. You know, there's a lot of gatekeeping, like I said earlier, and there's absolutely no reason for there to be. So for me, that's kind of why it was birthed. You know, one of the reasons why was to kind of break down the gatekeeping and the barriers to entry.
There's a lot of like, that's real like humility and empathy though, to the point where like, I think most people don't realise like people who actually create their own things and like actually like put so much time into themselves and business, like they're more empathetic than a lot of people, because like their focus is just to create framework or things to like, you sacrifice, you know, you're going to get hit with labels, or people are going to say this or think this, but it's like your mission. Something that I've felt myself is like sort of my mission that I'm on, like it's sort of realised like it's way bigger than I didn't think it was just me. I thought it was obviously everyone else, but it felt like, how big is like manifestation for you?
I think it's huge. I find that like I manifest without realising it as well sometimes. Like even the awards, I remember saying to the girls, so we launched a podcast in lockdown, just a bit of fun, like everybody else is doing, but it was never perfect enough. So we released a couple. But anyway, we put together a vision board, and it was specifically for the podcast itself. So where we wanted it to go, the kind of topics and all this kind of stuff. And I actually stuck awards on there. Absolutely no idea why. And then we obviously launched the awards in 2022, and it came to me, I was like, hold on, wait, I stuck awards on that vision board for no reason. I have absolutely no idea why I did it. And I was like, bloody hell, that's why it was on there. You know, I've manifested it. So I find manifestation is extremely important. some people are natural manifestors, but you've got people that have to specifically be strategic and vision boards up and drive that, you know, if they want that Lamborghini, which I do, you know, go and physically drive it. But you've got some people that can just be like, I'm getting it. And I seem to be that kind of person. I'm like, well, I'm getting it, or I want to do this. And then, you know, it's just like, oh God, remember that conversation? So I can't find myself doing little notes now sometimes. I'm like, God, I said that. And, you know, I feel like I'm going to get my floor to ceiling apartment in abroad, and, you know, things like, but it will happen.
Do you know what as well? You know, when we're speaking about environments, if you're in an environment where you just feel you can't express a thought out loud like that, that's such a powerful thing, because depending on the environment you're in, you'll be able to feel like you can express differently.
Yes.
Like you might not even know if you're able to actually like express properly. Like you might not be conscious of how your environment makes you not want to express things. It's like you could get to in 5 years' time, and then you could realise, crap, like I actually haven't expressed like any of the ideas I was capable of expressing.
That is true. And that's why environment is extremely important. And, you know, there are some people that aren't exposed to certain environments, like physically, but there's books, there's online stuff, you know, like I said, there's vision boards, and you can make your Instagram page, you know. That's
part of the manifesting though, I think, is like how much time you put into yourself and your own time in lifting your spirit, your vibration, your mentality. Like that's what's gonna like curate that environment, like, because it's alignment. Alignment is a huge thing I've found this year. Is like just being aligned with people on like powerful and purposeful things is what's really like, because you don't know, like someone who's aligned with you on something, they'll probably judge you less than someone that you've known for like 10 years who will probably just shoot that idea down. And then you see that's actual real respect and loyalty.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's important, and that's really interesting, because, you know, sometimes like for me, when I have certain conversations and some of the amazing business ideas that come up or whatever, has been through people that I've connected with. It's not necessarily, you know, the person that I've known for 10 years. And that's why your network, they say your network is your net worth. It is extremely important to have like a really good network around you. And it hasn't got to be in that creative field. It can be, you know, in a different field completely, but it's just having those important conversations, those life conversations, those business conversations, even just something simple about food. You know, some people, I remember when I worked in the corporate world, we did like a well-being week, and there was a guy who had never tried certain fruits. And I just thought, this to me is crazy, you know, but because of his environment, he was used to eating crisps and cakes and drinking Coca-Cola from a kid, and that's all he knew, that's all his children knew. And it would just be that cycle, like you say, you know, 5 years down the line, you look back and you think, your body's your temple, and people don't realise it's not just what you eat, it's what you listen to, it's what you look at, it's like you say, the environment that you sit in. There's so many different things that shape and can shape, you know, who you are or who you become. People don't realise that, you know, even the music that some people listen to, the films that you watch, the books that you read, there's so many things in your environment that can shape you into the person that you're supposed to be, or sometimes the opposite.
Definitely, man. One thing that I wanted to ask is like role models.
Yeah.
So are you your role model?
I'm not my role model. Nah, I wouldn't say that. Do you know what? I've never been, it's a bit, I'm not that kind of person. I was never that child that had an actual, I want to be like that person when I grow older. You know, even like, you know, I want to wear that wedding dress. I was never that kind of person.
Yeah.
And even now, I'm still, you know, I'm not starstruck. You know, if you had like a Drake or an Idris Elba or Beyonce or whatever, I'll be like, you're right. And keep, like, I'm just that kind of person. I mean, my mum definitely, I'd say, because she was a hard worker, you know, and my dad, both my parents, you know, they both worked simultaneously, you know, over the years. So I'd say that they really showed me the importance of like having routines and the way you carry yourself and conduct yourself. And, you know, if you want something, you've got to work hard for it, and things like that. And my auntie as well, you know, I've got an auntie who lived in Essex at the time, you know, that was really hard working again, you know, really nice house and things like that. So that's the only role models that I really had. To be fair, I've never been like one to like look at people on TV, because that's not real. You know, people put out what they want to put out. Like, you only see what people want you to see. So I've always had that kind of mindset from a young age. So yeah, I'd say those were my main role models, to be fair.
That is powerful though, because like they're having your role models be people who you're actually physically seeing every day, like embody that. I think embodiment's a huge thing. Like just seeing they actually embody the things they say, like especially at a young age, like everything's programming, like everything's just programming you, like the things people say, like that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, with all fairness, where I lived, you know, grew up like, you know, lower class. Mom, dad probably, I don't know what salary they were on, but we weren't rich. We didn't go on holidays or nothing. So to be honest, looking at my environment then, there wasn't really anybody else to really look up to as a role model, if that kind of makes sense. Because, you know, we lived in a maisonette and, you know, we went to like a normal school, you know, literally like a stone's throw away from the house. It was the same kids, the same parents. It was just the same environment every day. Do you know what I mean? There was never anything. We never travelled, like I said, when I was younger. So I could just take what I could from the closest people to me.
That's powerful, man. Powerful.
Yeah. So would you say they're role models or mentors? Because for me, now later on, I've got people in my life that I class as like mentors, but I wouldn't class them as role models.
That's true, actually.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry, not role.
Yeah, they're more like, like mentors. So I have mentors now.
Actually, I'd say not even mentors. I'd just say like strong influences.
Yes.
I'd say strong influences rather than role models, actually.
Yeah, because you seem to be quite independent in your thinking. And I just think, you know, from what I've learned about you, I would say you're probably your own role model.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think just like constantly having experiences that like evolve me as a person. Like I'm always looking to what I'm doing next and what ideas I'm going to think next. Yeah, I'd say yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah,
definitely. So, well, I think I was going to revert to like certain people who have put out certain ideas or art that have like influenced my perceptions a lot, but I think people around me, I think especially the past like year or so, I've got a friend called Daniel O'Kane who is just a very powerful person and a lot of business work, and his mentality and the way that he like carries himself as a person, he's someone who's really influenced me. My friend Shantanya Beckford, she's someone with just a very strong-minded and authentic person.
Absolutely.
And definitely someone who's inspired me. My friend Josh McKenzie, he owns like an events brand called Primo Events Limited, and he's very much someone very resilient, very adaptable, and very, very driven. So I'd say like for people that I've met and people that I've spoke to, definitely.
So I'm a really good judge of character. I think I can kind of scope people out quite quickly. But I still don't, you know, I still let people, you know, do what they're doing. I don't think, okay, I've seen that, so I'm not going to work with you, or I am going to really pursue to work with you because I've had that gut feeling. But I tend to be a really good judge of character, I'd say, and 9 times out of 10, you know, it always proves me you're right. It might be a creative thing.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm very, very glad that we actually spoke. It's actually kind of mad because like I just DM'd you.
And that was quite, a few days before the event, I think.
Yeah.
It was quite close to it, wasn't it?
Yeah. I DM'd you a few days before the event, and I was like, I just saw what you were doing. I was like, I love what you're doing. I showed you my thing. We had a call, and then that was it. Like, the alignments there, seeing like the transparency of seeing how each other think and what we actually want. That's brought us together even for this conversation. So to go from like a random phone call to like me coming to your event and then doing a show together, like it's very surreal for me, like to experience an amazing conversation. It's been a pleasure to learn more about you, how you think, your vision, your business, and just seeing who you really are as a person, and you getting to showcase that to people who otherwise might not have got the chance to.
So I appreciate you so much, and I'm just really grateful for this opportunity, because if I'm honest, I don't do a lot of talking about me. You know, I'll speak about experiences of other people and stuff, but I don't really, so this has been refreshing. It's been great, actually. I'm looking forward to watching it back and seeing the feedback from people, and it's been great. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, man. That's why I feel it's so important to have this platform of where people who otherwise might not even think to like like put themselves out there, or some people who might not have that platform, is just to have the conversation and just show people like, you know, who we actually are. So
yeah,
very grateful. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, this has been episode 8 of Energy in Motion with Monique. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and follow. Would you like to give your social media handles?
Okay, so the awards is at Creative Industry Awards. So yeah, to find me on social media, my personal is unique_Monique.
Thank you very much. And mine is obviously Energy Inside Motion is where you can find this page on Instagram. So thank you for watching.